Doom vivamos vivamos Epicureans. This is the Marvel Epic Collection Podcast One-Shot Edition. I'm your host, Nick Smith, and I'll be joined by Stojr in just a moment. We are participating in Kurtis Findlay's Epic Marvel Podcast Reading Club, and this one-shot is going to be our brief thoughts on today's issue, which is Uncanny X Men number 155, First Blood, art solely by Cockrum and Viacek on this one. And I noticed that the corner box of the cover changed designs a little bit. This one's a little more dynamic than just the headshots that we had in the previous issue, so I kind of like that. Alright, so the X Men and Corsair are all beamed aboard a Shi'ar spacecraft and informed of a plot which led to the kidnapping of Empress Lilandra. Kitty and Nightcrawler stay behind as hostages, while the rest of the X-Men are given 24 hours to find the kidnappers on Earth before the Shi'ar destroy the Earth. Well, with some help from the Avenger, Tigra, the X-Men track down Deathbird, who seems to be part of the plot, but who is also teamed up with an alien being whose race are called the Brood. Now, during the obligatory fight, Colossus is injured and presumably dead. I'll add to my summary here that they also destroy a building that was being created, and that's going to have ramifications later. Okay, I like this one better than the previous issue. The pacing here was better. Even the tension between Cyclops and Corsair over the realization of their relationship felt like it was handled better here. Even the in the midst of the crazy fight that they found themselves in. I like that there was a little levity too, such as on page 36. Here, I'll pull this up on the comic viewer again. On page 36, we get Kitty playing with the costume or clothes machine that the Shi'ar have on the ship where she and Nightcrawler are being held. So a little bit of silliness there as she, is wearing a typical gown, I guess, some weird space outfit, something the Shi'ar would wear, and then she's Darth Vader, of course, because why the heck not? I like the silliness of that. I like that it was also a cover for her trying to infiltrate the Shi'ar computer. It's an interesting thing to do. So anyway, I enjoyed this issue, and I'm now looking forward to see where this is going to go after kind of a disappointing previous issue. This has got me back in. All right, those are my thoughts. Let's pass this off to Stojr and see what he thinks.
X-Men 155, this one's called First Blood, because, having Star Wars and Star Trek references in this book's not enough. Let's make sure that we reference Aliens and Rambo while we're at it. This issue has a pretty good cover, but it's helped out by a couple things. One is there is no obnoxious cover ad at the top of this one, which I love, getting rid of those things. And two, it has a spectacular corner box. That corner box that they designed for this issue, and I think it'll be on a few issues going forward, of the X-Men kind of coming out of the corner box is just one of the best corner boxes I've seen in a while. So got to appreciate that. For those that don't know about why corner boxes exist, when comics used to be on newsstands, the way that they were positioned, you were able to see the issue number and the price and sort of that little corner box to see what characters were in that book more easily than you would be able to see the full front cover like you can at, say, a comic store or, obviously online and things like that we get nowadays. So I really enjoyed this issue. I thought this is a lot of fun. I'm already more excited 2 issues into this book than I was about almost everything in the last Epic collection. So I think this is really some good stuff here. There's a Star Trek transporter page on transporter on page 33. I thought that was pretty interesting. And then as we go forward in this book, it's pretty obvious that in this podcast, and it's unfortunate that I'm doing this one solo and we're kind of stitching these together, but we cannot escape the cat people, whether it's in Morbius or Avengers West Coast or here where we get Tigra again. I guess the only positive is that it's just Tigra and we're not getting full-on cat people in this particular issue. Kitty Pryde aboard the Shi'ar ship is going around and using this machine for different clothing options and kind of changing her garb. And this is funny for a couple reasons, most of them obvious, but one is just the running joke of Kitty trying on different outfits and having different costumes and not being satisfied with what she has. Coincidentally, I am reading through the Dawn of X omnibus. And there's a Marauders book where Kate Pryde is part of that, and she is in a brand new, more pirate-themed costume. So she never kind of loses I guess, the thrill of having different costumes, apparently. But so you get the first one is Kitty in her different outfits. The second is the most obvious one of her changing into Darth Vader, which is kind of funny. This is, I guess, in between Star Wars 2 and 3, so I don't think the Ewoks one, Return of the Jedi, has come out yet. But, we've gotten, 2 Star Wars movies by this point in time. But the third is, this establishes before Secret Wars, I believe, because I don't think Secret Wars is until another couple of years. I think it's mid-'80s, that there's some technology out there in space that can change people's costumes. And if you're familiar at all with Secret Wars or Venom, Spider-Man goes and finds a machine that can give him different costumes, almost exactly like this. But unfortunately for Spider-Man, and spoilers for those that don't know where Venom comes from, but that costume is alive and is the symbiote. Whereas in this particular instance, this is just different outfits for Kitty to try on. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing that I never realized or never saw. I don't remember if I've read this particular issue by itself back in the day. So moving forward, you get Deathbird's debut within the X-Men here. Looking her up, she had previously appeared in a Captain Marvel book. I had not followed that. Interesting that we have a Captain Marvel villain here. And Carol Danvers is, I guess, somewhere. Maybe she's still back on Magneto Island, or she's, back at the beat-up mansion. But, she's with the X-Men, just not with them on this particular mission here. We get a couple more cameos of different types of characters. So we're getting to see the Brood now, who look a lot like aliens. It's interesting that this Brood character has a specific name and kind of doesn't operate the way that my memory is about the Brood. So this might be a more important Brood versus some of the kind of ones that are more horror themed or more there's just a mass of them, kind of more like the Aliens movie in a sense, whereas this one is, like an assassin. It's fighting Wolverine. It had a sniper rifle, psychic sniper rifle, but still a sniper rifle nonetheless. And the issue rounds out with Professor X being kidnapped and the X-Men, almost under arrest by the NYPD, as well as Colossus gravely injured. I mean, looking dead at the end of the issue. I'm surprised they didn't keep him in his armored form to keep a little bit more ambiguity, because him changed back to human with that stake through him after the acid was thrown on him. He looks like a goner here. And if I was reading this book monthly, I probably would think that. So another great issue in this particular book. Looking forward to where this goes next.